Hello fellow knife enthusiasts, and as always a special hello to my guys over at the Cold Steel forums. I decided that I had a little bit of time today to make a video. Today we're going to talk about two very commonly owned knives from Cold Steel, made in the AUS 8A steel from Japan. I've had some concerns since the new Voyagers come out, well, are coming out, about the steel that they're used and how inferior it is and how it dulls from the most basic cutting chores and just a handful of cutting chores, and how weak the edges are, and how they fold over at the slightest touch and all of that, how they don't take the right edges. I think that it's a lot of bitching and complaining over nothing. Sure, I would have liked the VG1 steel upgrade in the folders, especially the slicing workhorses like the Voyagers, but I'm not really disappointed that they didn't choose to use it. And I picked these two knives. These are two knives that I own, two of many Cold Steel items. I have a lot of faith in these knives. I carry this one, the Black Rock Hunter, almost every day because it's real thin, it folds up real tight, and I just like to carry it with me. It's got a nice hollow grind on it, and it's good for slicing stuff. This Lawman is a little bit tougher. You can see that I've used both of these knives, so it's not like these are brand new out of the box, and I don't really think that the main question is initial sharpness. I've sharpened both of these knives a little bit. I'm not really expert sharpener by any means, but I fancy myself a bit of an intermediate, and I sure can make these knives sharp, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. So let's get right into it here. I will say the one complaint that I have, Cold Steel, about this knife in particular, the Black Rock Hunter, is that when you close it, if you let this handle snap on the blade, there's a spot where it contacts it right here, and it totally smashes the edge. Now that doesn't have much to do with the edge retention on the AUS 8 blade, but what it does have to do with is why the hell does this thing contact the spring? Shouldn't it stop? Shouldn't it have a stop here? That's something that I hope they correct in the future. And it doesn't really take away from the value of this knife for me. This is just a work knife. This is not, you know, my do-everything jack of all trades knife. But I mean, for crying out loud, that really kind of pisses me off. Even for a $20 knife, I sure hope that the Paradox doesn't have the same problem, because I really want to get the new 5.5-inch version. Well, let's test some initial sharpness on these guys. Okay, here we got a little test paper. And so definitely that one's able to take the edge and have initial sharpness. Here's the Lawman. It's not quite as sharp. I've used it for quite a few things. Gosh darn it. I keep a little sturdier edge on it because I tend to beat this knife up pretty hard. Now all of a sudden I can't get it to cut a piece of paper. What a pain in the ass. There we go. It's hard to hold this stuff at the camera angle. I don't even know if I was in frame when I was doing that right there. Okay, enough of that crap. But this one's more of a hard work knife. I use it to cut open potato sacks and dirty crap all the time, and I didn't touch it up before this video. I wish that I would have now, because it made me look kind of like a jerk there, but hey, what you gonna do? This one's gonna get submitted anyway. You can't always get it right the first time. Let's check the sharpness one more way that I like to do that, is get a plastic shopping bag. Where the heck did it go? Here's one. I like to get a plastic shopping bag and see if it can slice through there loose hanging. This Black Rock should be able to do it, gosh darn it. Pretty close. It said it takes that next level of sharpness to be able to really do it consistently. There we go. I got a good one that time. Kinda got to put it at an angle there. I think we can all agree that that's a pretty sharp knife. It's able to do that. Hopefully you'll agree with that. Alright, let's get into it. I got some cardboard back here. You might even see I got some dirty footprints on it from walking around before the test. And I guess let's just get into it. I hope you don't have a huge problem with boredom, because this might take a while. I'm going to sit here and then we're going to retest the initial sharpness. Or we're going to retest the sharpness again. Let me check to see if I'm in frame one more time. When I'm doing these cuts, it's going to be real boring if I'm not in frame when I'm doing these. Let's see exactly where I am. Okay, let's look a little further. Okay, here we go. Let's get to it. And I'm wearing a glove over here so that I can hang on. My grip gets kind of tired through doing these. And I really think that some people just like to complain more than they like to use their knives. And I really also think that others don't know how to sharpen. And just because they might hone up their edges a certain way, you know, the steel is not going to exhibit its finest properties if you have a certain way of honing and sharpening that kind of degrades the edge. Or if you sharpen it too thin, sometimes you have sometimes you'll have a problem with that. Where you think the edge is coming off real fast, and even though the more you try to sharpen it on your sharp maker or whatever system you got there, you notice that it kind of just loses the edge. If that was happening to a steel knife, and it was actually a heat treat issue, hey, that's fine. I don't have a problem with people complaining about that. But what you should do is send it back into cold steel, and they would be able to take care of you on that. I'm really almost confident of that. But if it's just you honing your knife and you really don't have any expertise, well, not even expertise, but you just don't have any experience sharpening, you might be confused into thinking that this is somehow an inferior steel. I really don't think that's the case whatsoever. I'd say we've gone through a handful of cuts now. What most people would consider a handful of cuts. Probably got about 20 or 30 foot of cardboard laying on the floor, if not more than that. Let's keep going for a minute. Screw it. Because I couldn't get the initial sharpness test to where I wanted it. Let's see if it holds it through this whole damn box. I'm going to put to rest the complaint about this knife anyway. Damn piece of tape. But yeah, guys, I'm really anxiously awaiting the new Voyagers. I think they're going to be tough work knives, and even though they look a little bit different, I know that's scary. You might think that it's not going to feel good in your hand. Gosh, I hope it does, because I've really been looking forward to them for a year now. Yeah. Oh. Okay. I think I might also mention that this is double thickness. This is not your typical corrugated. This is double thickness, so notice that this thin handle, even though it carries well every day, if you really get to work with it, the thinner handles like this, and the Lawman doesn't have this problem, it's got a real thick G10 handle, that these thinner handles tend to tear you up. Cold steel pocket Bushman is another good example of that. If you're going to really sit down and do some hard cuts with it, I really recommend getting some of these dot gloves, at least, or some jersey gloves. So, so that you can save the webbing in between your thumb here. I'm not going to bitch and complain about that too much, because that's not what this is all about. This is all about the edge retention on this Aus 8. And this knife is dirt cheap right now. I got a pair of them on eBay for 18 bucks a piece, shipped to my door. Man, how can you beat that? Just how can you beat that? I got some other knives that I really like for box cutting that I use at the warehouse. This is just kind of the backup. Kershaw. I really like how their Sandvik steel performs. I think it does an awesome job. But I'm not disappointed with this one, especially considering the cost. Oh my god. I think we are... See that tape? Oh, this tape kind of makes it rip like that. It's not the edge going, I don't think yet. When it does go, I'll be honest about it. Because we've been cutting for some minutes now. See that tape? God, tape is a pain in the butt. Well, I work in a warehouse for a living, so I know a thing or two about cardboard, corrugated, and that paper cardboard that you see in cereal boxes and stuff. And I know a thing or two about plastic and what it can do to the edge, especially plastic expanding and zip ties. I might bust a few of those out on the lawman here in a minute. We're just going to do this. See if this guy can make it through all this. Uh-oh. Might be getting close now to losing that hair popper. Yeah, it might be getting closer. And maybe if I would have polished it up a little more, took it to that next level of sharpness, I wouldn't be having so much problem. Okay, I think we're getting down to it, but we're going to go ahead and push it to the limit. And then you can make a claim judgment for yourself on this pile of cardboard, if that's good enough for you. And this is double thickness, mind you, so if this was single thickness, potentially you could go through twice as much. Why the hell you would? I don't know, you'd be really doing some freaking hard work. Say, I cut through this much. Yeah, there it goes. See if I can find the angle where it's working again. I think we got it. I think it's finally losing that hair popper. I'd like to be able to say that you can do this all day long without it losing any of the edge. But let's be realistic. It's a $20 knife, and I know for sure that it's not made out of the some of the Spyderco high-end stuff. But hey, that military and what, CPM S90V? God, I'd love to have one of those, but guess what? It's $290. I could have 12 of these for that and whoop on them like I didn't care and give them away as gifts, and I really like to do that too. A lot of people don't appreciate knives like we do, hanging out on the forums and being educated by the internet, and some people have a problem with being over-educated by the internet. I'm not saying that everybody on the internet's a know-it-all, but some people definitely suffer by being exposed to that higher level of knowledge about cutlery steel. And your Joe Everyman is actually expecting kind of the top of the line when he pays $20 for a knife. I went to the Indy 1500 this weekend and got to hang out at a cutlery table for a little while, hearing people's opinions. And there was a lot of people that didn't want to shell out $20 for a Bushman, if you can believe that. They thought that they should get a lot more knife for the money. They thought that they should be getting a K-bars for $15 and $20. And there are vendors out there that'll have those Chinese knockoffs, but there ain't no damn way that they'd hold their edge through this much. I think this one's actually holding up pretty nice. I wonder if my grip was just giving out on me a minute ago. I think I got a second wind now. Whack, whack. Part of cutting technique, and you're not going to see me really exhibiting too much of it when the piece is so big, is that especially woodworkers are gonna recall this if they've ever had problems with it, is that your elbow tends to get tendonitis when you're wood carving, when you're whittling sticks and stuff. And one way that you can definitely battle that is to not try to do this so much with your arm. try to use your left arm, kind of why I'm wearing a glove here, and pull the medium into the cutting edge. You can hold the edge, and that works a lot better. When you can do it, it kind of saves your elbow. Because if you're chopping and you're wood carving and you're sawing, your elbow might be killing you when you're out camping. And this can kind of save it, hopefully. Hopefully you guys can get some good tips from anything that I put on the channel. You know, some people might feel that it's not good information, they don't need it, or they feel that they're on a higher level and that paying more for a knife is the way to go. And hey, you're certainly entitled to your opinion. Whatever works for you in the end of the day. Some people say your mileage may vary. I think that that's kind of an overcoined term. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say use what works for you. You know, buy what you enjoy. Don't buy something because somebody else says it's good. You know, get something, test it. Don't take someone else's opinion. If they don't think that the AUS 8 is up to the snuff, but you really like a pattern in AUS 8, I'd say try it out anyway. But don't blow extra money that you don't have just because somebody's going to tell you. Let's see if we can just whittle a little bit on it. Man, I think this knife is still razor sharp, even though it has all this glue and crap on it. Maybe you can see. Oh, I don't like kneeling. Okay, we got about... I told you this was going to be an exercise in patience, guys. Listen to me jabberjaw like Nut and Crunchy. But hey, if you can hang in there for it, you can also fast forward the video. That's what I do with Nut and Crunchy. I just like to see the knives. I don't like to hear his damn opinion on everything. But I really do like the guy. I think that he's adding a good bit of information to the knife world, especially for beginners. But once you get past that level, I think that he can get kind of boring. But I'm done talking about him. This is the Grinder Magoo. This is the Grinder Magoo channel. This ain't the Nut and Crunchy channel. See, I'm kind of struggling with it now. I'm losing a little bit of focus here. All right, I'm gonna focus. Really dig in. Get through this last. Look at how thick this cardboard is. I really don't. Can you see that? How thick that is? It's double thickness. This was one insane box. Can't remember what came in this box. It was Clorox bleach. What it was, something I got from the warehouse. And a little later you're going to be moving, so I'm going to need me a good box knife. So this is a good test for me too, even though I already have my preferred box knife. This is not it. This is a hunting knife. Now if this doesn't, this is definitely not a handful of cuts. If this is not testing the edge to your satisfaction, then your standards are extremely high. For that, sir, I applaud you. And if you have $200 to get a S90V, well then, bully to you. I sure as shit don't have that much money for a 4-inch knife, although I wish I did. That's what I think Cold Steel has got nailed down, is the market for average Joes and citizens who have a mind for self-defense. That Espada knife is one that I hear complained about constantly, about how it has the AUS 8. And if you've seen the knife in person, I really think you'd have a hard time complaining about it. It's so damn shiny. And that's not the only thing to consider, but shit, every knife I've ever got from Cold Steel came out of the box sharp enough to shave arm hairs. So if you didn't get one that was sharp enough out of the box, I apologize for you, but it shouldn't be that hard to get back. And if it really has an issue with heat treat, they'll take care of you. I've called up with some complaints about orders before, and Cold Steel has taken care of me and then some, and even sent me free crap sometimes. So they only have a 1-year warranty on folders, but they honor it and then some. Really, really. Oh my god. What a nightmare. Oh, that was a shitload of cardboard for me to do kneeling down like that. Let's look at this massive pile we got. If that's not 100, 150 foot of double thickness cardboard, I don't know. You tell me, but the Black Rock Hunter is still going on it. Let's see if it can still do the paper test. Not really sure if it can, but we shall see. And I got some glue on the blade. If I go back and look at this video and I wasn't in frame, I'm going to be one pissed off dude, because that was some work right there. Now let's get our test paper back out. And it did. I think we lost the hair popper. I'm really not surprised. Oh shit, look at that. I'm kind of have to finagle my technique. I'm definitely not push cutting that paper. I'm slicing it, but come on, man. You got a black bear hunter that's losing its edge after 5 or 10 seconds of whittling? You might have a warranty issue, man. You better call it Cold Steel about that, and they'll check it out for you. And I guarantee if it is a heat treat issue, those guys will take care of it for you. They've always been cool to me. But please, be reasonable when you call up. Now, I don't even work for Cold Steel, so it's not like I give a crap if you call them up and bitch them out. But just thinking about you guys, I know that when I call up somebody and I start bitching and complaining and making idle threats right away, they don't want to help me. But if I call up and say, yeah, I got this Black Rock Hunter, oh man, I thought it was awesome, I really loved it. You know, but the edge folds over at the slightest anything, then they're more apt to help me out. So just kind of keep that in mind. Even if you're upset, and I can totally understand if you are upset, especially if you get a dud. But, shit man, this is a random knife out of a box. If yours doesn't hold an edge like this, then maybe it's time to start practicing your sharpening technique. Maybe you put a wire edge on it and you just keep knocking that edge off. And what it really needs is to be reprofiled and get down to some good steel that you haven't burnished the crap out of or thinned out to the point where it's folding over every few cuts. Okay? And I'm kind of winded here from all my running my damn mouth. See if we can get one more good clean slice before we check out. Yeah. Oh, you like that? That is sexy. That is one sexy ass knife. I'm actually kind of surprised. So I actually learned a little bit of something there too. Even that's got glue all over it. That's got glue all over it. So I'm actually kind of surprised that it's still doing this slicer test. Alright guys, I'm going to check out. I'll fire it back up here in a minute to do the lawman once I cool down. Thanks for watching.